Hi guys and welcome back to Tech Anorak. Okay, so I'm going to do another hypothetical video today, and I thought I would go over future phones that I'm interested in for 2021, for Q3 and Q4, so for the remainder of this year and into 2022. So let's go with, okay, so we've got the Google 6 Pro. Oh, lost it then. So the Google 6 Pro, so it's not yet announced, so it's all the rumour mill list, which, don't know about you, I quite like listening to them all. Okay, so it's rumoured to have a 6.67 inch screen, a 50 megapixel sensor, which would be interesting because they've stuck with the same 12 megapixel sensor for as long as the Pixel's been out. What we're into now, the 5th generation, so surely Google's computational photography and a 50 megapixel lens is going to be pretty awesome. I'd like to see a telephoto camera on there and a wide angle. Give me all the lenses. I know people don't like macro lenses, but let's have them all. But I'd like to be able to zoom a bit more because the Pixel 4a, the digital zoom is not the best. You know, it'd be nice to have optical zoom. Okay, so it's rumoured again to have 8 to 12 gig of RAM, 5,000 milliamp hour battery, so pretty standard stuff. I'm guessing it would have wireless charging. It will have IP68 rating most likely, and yeah, you know, like we've seen with the current Pixels, it will probably be 1080p, like full HD screen. It's going to be at least 90 hertz. The rumouring 120 hertz here. So the Pixel 5 is 90 hertz. So I would imagine, yeah, you know, 90 or above. And I keep asking this, but do you think HD, full HD is enough? Should everything be QHD now, or should it be 4K? Okay, and yeah, so the rumours are a 50 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel periscope telephoto, and a 16 megapixel ultra wide, and it'll do 4K 30, 4K 60, 1080p and below. The stabilisation's pretty good on my 4A, but I'd like it to be a bit better. I've noticed when I've used it outside, it's a little bit jerky, but you could probably cure that with a smartphone gimbal like a DJI one. And yeah, internal storage on the Pixels, this is a big one. So the maximum you can get at the moment is 128 gig. I think you need at least that and an option for 256 as we've got here, because if you're a power user, if you know, recording a lot of 4K video, it's going to eat into that storage pretty quick, guys. And there's two variants here. They think there might be a 8 gig of RAM and a 12 gig of RAM. And the next processor is supposed to be an in-house one. So it's rumoured to be the 5 nanometer technology. And I think it's supposed to be competing with the 888 Snapdragon. But it will be a bit like Apple do with their Bionic chips. Google are going to do their own proprietary chip. And what else we got that's interesting? Stereo speakers. The Pixel 5 has got an in-screen vibrating speaker for the earpiece, you know, for when you're on calls, and doubles up as your second stereo speaker with the bottom firing one. But I'd like to see, like the first Pixels, the 1 and the 2, where you've got front firing stereo speakers, because that's just cool. Yeah, as it says here, wireless charging, reverse wireless charging. Pixel's batteries they're okay. Oh, that's a big one as well. It needs USB-C 3.1 or UFS 3.1 file transfer, because my 4A's 2.0, I think it is, and it's a little bit slow. Oh, another thing. Do you think 8K video is it a bit of a gimmick at the moment, because obviously the S21 Ultra can do 8K and the other S21s. But yeah, is 4K enough? Okay, and let's have a look at the design. So there's a few pictures going about. I quite like it. I can see why people probably won't. Looks a bit like Johnny Five. Johnny Five is alive to me. So he's got two eyes there and a bit like Johnny Five's head, the camera module. I would love to have that orange. You know, I am a big orange fan with... in fact, just to show you guys, I've got a new skin for my Pixel 4a. I was sent these kindly by Extreme Skins, which was really nice of them. This one's like a camo, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to try and mod these and cut the edges off because I don't like the edges for my phone case. Right, anyway, sorry, I digress. So let's have a look at these images. So yeah, pretty sexy. I don't think we're going to have the lens there. I'd be surprised. That's very Samsung, isn't it? I would have thought your lens is going to be in the corner. And to be honest, I prefer them in the corner if you're going to have one, because when you've got the screen in landscape watching video, it's better having the cutout there. It's just nicer. Yeah, looks like not very big bezels. If you looked at that and you didn't see the back, you'd say Samsung. So I don't know if that's what they'll go with. And I would have thought they'd have a coloured power button because that's how Google rolls. But yeah, I like that camera module rather than the ones we're seeing at the moment where it's like a cutout here. And, I'll draw it for you because I'm a geek. Screen right. So yeah, at the moment we've got this sort of design, haven't we? So you've got that, and then your lenses, like an iPhone or the Samsung S21 Ultra, and yeah, that was this year. I think we need a change next year. Okay, so come out of my rubbish sketching. Oh, there we go, guys. So there's a few more images here, and that's a lot. Okay, so next one after that, do we have the... I've got a keyboard on today, guys. So Samsung S22. We don't have that yet. iPhone 13. We don't have that. So we're going to have to go into the rumour mill. Okay, so here's a website I've used before, Gadgets Now. So S22 Ultra 5G. So it's rumouring the phone is powered by octa-core 2.84 gigahertz Cairo and 3 times 2.4 gigahertz Cairo 680 and 4 times 180 gigahertz Cairo 680 processors. It runs on the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888. I seriously doubt that. It will have whatever new Snapdragon chip, the whatever they're going to call it, the 899 or 900. I think they'll go 899 next, or 890, something like that. I would imagine it's going to be insanely expensive. Again, the Ultra. So you probably look at the S22 will be say $800 or 700 UK pounds. The Plus will be another 200, so $1,000, £900 or something, and the Ultra will be, I would have thought, $1,100-1,200, or well, $1,300, £1,200. And I'd say Samsung are going to build on what they've done this year, so they will have the same excellent cameras, or they're going to improve the cameras. Samsung screens are, well, this year they're normally all QHD. However, the S22 range, we've seen a bit of a drop really. So the S21 normal, like vanilla one, and the S21 Plus, they are both just full HD, so quite low res for a Samsung flagship. And obviously they're trying to push the Ultra so that you go for that with the QHD. But yeah, I think phone prices have got crazy. You've got some flagship killers now that are coming out, like the Realme GT 5G. I'd love to get hold of one of those. That's got the 888 it won't have the same cameras as the Samsungs and iPhones of the world, but it's got the flagship chip, and it's rumoured to come in around €369 or about $400. So that's interesting. Okay, so that's the S22 Ultra. Not a lot's known. I wonder if they'll get rid of the Note. That's the big thing next year. Will the Note 30, will that not be a thing? Will it be the S22 range that has the S Pen? Will it only be the S22 Ultra that has the S Pen? I'd like to see it on all of them. Just, if you could get the S Pen on a £800 S22, I'd go for that. Even maybe if it was full HD, if it had like the 890 chip or whatever the next Snapdragon is, that'd be interesting. Oh, they'll all have wireless charging, I would imagine, reverse wireless charging, and I would have thought the batteries would be similar to this year. Okay, iPhone 13, guys. So I might just look like I am an an Android fanboy, but I do like iPhones as well. It's just I've not had one for a few years. I think that is my next one, the iPhone 12 Pro, or I think the Pro Max is probably my next one, because probably that 512 gig one, because running a YouTube channel, you need a lot of storage, and I'm sick of dropping my files, my video onto my PC and hot swapping all the time, because my 4A's only got 128 gig. But yeah, these iPhones are very interesting because they have HDMI out. If you connect it to a 4K screen, you've got a mobile computer that you can do all your editing on, all your filming on, and then, as I say, connect it to a big screen. You don't even need a PC really. That Bionic chip is very fast, and they have, I think it's 6 gig of RAM rather than the 4 gig in the normal 12. Anyway, sorry, got off on a tangent again. So iPhone 13. iPhone 13. Rumours. Okay, I would imagine, if I'm guessing, I haven't looked into this in advance, the 13 is going to keep with the same design. So it'll have the 12's chamfered edges, like the iPhone 5 and 5S. This is a bit of they're like a echo back to the 5S, and I think they look gorgeous. I've handled the full range in the Apple Store, and yeah, they're nice phones. Very expensive phones, but as Flossie Carter says, you've got to pay to play. You do, and they've got the best video. I wonder if the iPhone 13 will have more than 60 hertz, because the trend at the moment is 90 hertz, mainly 120 hertz in the flagship range. And if you think you're paying $800 for a 12 or 13 when it comes out, the Pro Max, that is $1,400 or £1,300 if you can spec them out to be like $1,500 or something. So will the 13 have the higher refresh rate? If I'm paying that money, I would like 120 hertz or above, even 90 hertz. But you want the best. That phone has got to compete with the S21 Ultra. But Apple, they seem to keep things behind, don't they? They'll say like they invented the wheel, like wireless charging. They've got the MagSafe charging now, where Androids had wireless charging for years, and then it will be ultra smooth water display or some liquid retina, they say, don't they, or waterfall fluid or something daft. They'll come up with some weird name, won't they? Like a marketing name. But like I say, not dissing iPhones. I really like iPhones. I'm seriously considering one. I think it's either the iPhone 12 Pro Max for me next, or maybe the iPad Air 4, because it has the same internals as the iPhone 12. Okay, sorry guys, back to the 13. So yeah, it's got to build on this again. So I would have thought it's going to look the same. It'll have some new colours. Hopefully that 120 Hz display. It's not going to have a headphone jack. There's a rumour if you can see here, we'll zoom in. Oh, sorry guys. There's a rumour that they are going to be the first portless iPhone, so they'll just be purely wireless charging, and you'll have to use the internet or Bluetooth AirDrop. So that's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that because, like I say, I like the idea of the 12 being able to output HDMI and charge it at the same time. Yes, you can do wireless display, but HDMI is going to be more stable and less strain on the phone's processor and browser and things if you're, using it for video editing or anything intensive like gaming, etc. Okay, so right, that's the iPhone 13. Who else we got, guys? Which other companies? Let's have a think. So they're the main three, really. I think that we've covered a lot, really. So I mean, we could look at OnePlus 10 is going to be next, and who else you got? Sony. There's a new Sony coming out, which is more than rumour. Is anyone interested in this? So the Sony Xperia 1. Aye, Captain. Engage, Mr. Wolf. Sorry, I am a Star Trek geek. Okay, dudes, so the 1.3. Let's take it back to my... I've dropped my S Pen, man. S Pen's got legs, right. GSM Arena. Okay, guys. I only know because of this website. I worked for a mobile network for 15 years. That's why I'm partly obsessed with phones, I think. So yeah, I work for O2. And yeah. But like I say, still love my phone. So yeah. So this is due for release June. So it's coming out this month. And this is an interesting phone. So it's a 4K screen. That is all you need to know, I think, to start with. That's really cool. 643 ppi for a 6.5 inch size phone. I think the S21 Ultra is 6.8 inches and a ppi of 500. I mean, yeah, let's, how sharp do you want it? But I'd like to use a 4K phone. I've never used one. So if you're recording 4K footage, you want to play it back in 4K on the screen and make the most of it. Yep, so I'd like to use a 4K screen. If you're recording in 4K, I can't play back in 4K unless I stream to my Samsung TV that's 4K. I've got a Q60T. But yeah, so obviously, ideally, the highest resolution of your camera, you want your phone to match that in its screen, so that if you don't have a 4K screen, or you're working in the field, or just for convenience, that I think that's cool that you've got the full resolution. So 120 hertz refresh rate. So again, Apple don't have that. The S21 Ultra does, and a lot of the other Chinese makes. Gorilla Glass Victus, which is on the S21 range and a lot of phones this year. It's a hybrid dual SIM. I wonder if it's got micro SD support, because that could be a big selling point. We'll see that in a moment. Okay. IP65/IP68 dust water resistance. So, which is it? I would imagine IP68. Again, it's an OLED panel, 4K. Could do 60 hertz. Yeah, it's 120 hertz, so we got that wrong. And it's going to have the 888 5nm chip that all the proper flagships have got this year. I haven't used one yet, other than I've used the S21 in a store, but I've not gamed on one, so I'd like to game on one. I'm sure they're all beasts, these flagships. Okay, so I like the storage for a start. So again, Apple, Samsung, no micro SD support. This has got micro SD support. It uses a shared SIM slot. So 256 gig and 12 gig of RAM, and 512 gig and 12 gig of RAM. 256 gig is pretty good anyway, and if you can throw another 256 gig card, or say it goes up to a terabyte, you've got a proper, what's the word? You've got a massive hard drive in your pocket, basically, haven't you? So, like I say, even if the max was 256, and you could, why would you buy the 512? You just buy a 256 gig, and then, you double it up with a micro SD card. UFS 3.x, guess it's 3.1, so it's going to be the fastest at the moment. Quad camera, Sony lenses. They make lenses for most of the manufacturers, I think, other than Samsung, but most lenses are Sony lenses, and there's a reason why, because they're the best. So we've got a 12 megapixel f-stop 1.7 24mm wide. So that's quite a big lens. That's going to let a lot of light in. Wow, 12 megapixel 70mm telephoto lens. So an 105mm telephoto. I don't know if these are actual specs. Actually, they must be. So sounding like they're going to lot. That's the bigger the lens, the more light it can let in. So the better it is in night mode and low light. Okay, and there's another 12 megapixel ultra wide lens and a no macro lens, I don't think. Okay, and we've got 4K 24 frames per second, 25, 30, 60 and 120 frames per second. So that's cool. So it matches its screen. The screen refresh rate is 120 hertz. So 120 frames per second on the camera. So you are going to see back if you record in the highest resolution, which is really cool. Sony stereo speakers and a headphone jack. Yeah, Sony speakers are really good on the Xperia, so I would have thought that would be amazing. And this is a big one as well. They always have a very high res digital audio codec, a DAC. So it's 24-bit, 192 kilohertz audio. So in English, that means they call it high-res audio. If you've heard of Tidal and other streaming platforms, it's like the highest FLAC bit rate. So it'll be, crystal clear audio. Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2, NFC, usual GPS, UFS 3.1 storage. I think we've said that. The quickest one. It's got a fingerprint side mounted. I like that. That's cool because physical buttons are always easy to use, and I quite like the side ones as well. I think I've been told they're not always as accurate. If you get they're good with your thumb but not good with your fingers. That's what most of the reviewers say. It's a 4,500 milliamp hour battery, fast charging at 30 watt, 50% in 30 minutes, so 100% in an hour. Fast wireless charging, doesn't claim a wattage, but I would have thought, 18 watt, isn't it normally? Reverse wireless charging, and it says USB power delivery. Colours, frosted black, frosted grey, frosted purple. Purple is a proper cool Sony colour. The Xperia Z1 that came in purple, and was it the Z1 Ultra that was like, it was massive. It was a phone, but it felt like a tablet because of the bezels. It was almost like a 7-inch tablet. I always wanted one of them. I had the Xperia Z, but not the Z Ultra or Z Plus or whatever it's called. Okay, let's have a look at some pictures. So this looks like a beast, In fact, I'm quite tempted by this. The only reason I want an iPhone is because of the video editing and the video quality. I believe the iPhones, a lot of people run YouTube channels off them, and they're supposed to be awesome. But again, Sony makes some brilliant lenses as well. It's typical Sony, but that looks gorgeous. It's minimalistic, It looks like most Sonys from the last few years. I think it's got a dedicated camera button there. Presume that's your fingerprint reader and lock button. That's your volume. Wonder what that is. That's a separate one. Okay. Is that the purple? It's a bit of a dingy purple, but yeah, quite classy, I suppose. And there's the grey. But yeah, that looks a nice phone. But I see a lot of YouTubers, they say, why does no one buy Sony phones? So yeah, maybe mention in the comments that I've not had one for a few years, but I don't know, Sony's always been a big, renowned brand, but these days it's really Samsung and iPhones, isn't it? They're your top tier. And then, Google with their efforts, but Google don't do flagships anymore. I suppose it's OnePlus and Sony, they're the next flagship phone manufacturers. Cool, so that's a very interesting phone. And the design language, yeah, it looks like the Xperia Xperia 1 2 from last year. But yeah, it's got, some bigger lenses. Yeah, very much similar to last year. If they said this was the Xperia 1 3, it's not that different really. But not a bad thing. At least they stick to their design language. Okay, so yeah, just a quick overview of upcoming phones. It's been an interesting year phones-wise. There's been lots of competition. I think the Ultra phones need to chill out a bit. I know, again, to quote Mr. Flossie Carter, you've got to pay to play, but they've gone a bit too expensive now for me. In fact, I'll probably still buy something expensive, but, I think it's gone a bit crazy now. We need some... We've had some good flagship killers recently, the Poco F3 and the Realme GT 5G. But I'd like to see more the middle range. So the iPhone 12 is really cool, but it should have 120 Hz or at least 90 Hz for the money. The S21 should have a QHD screen for the money. I don't like 1080p on my flagships. If you're paying all that money, I've got a £350 phone in the Google Pixel 4a, and that's got a full HD screen like the S21. I know the S21's got the 888 and it's got a good camera, but so's the Pixel 4a. The Pixel 4a is 128 gig. The S21's 128 gig. It's got wireless charging. I mean, to be honest, what I'm trying to say is, I think the only thing that's worth it is the 888 on that S21, because it doesn't have the S Pen support. Anyway, guys, lots of waffling, digressing. I'm just, what's the word? Predicting the future, or, soothsaying. I don't know. I'm talking rubbish now, but yeah, let's get a chat going in the comments. I'd love that. Tell me what you're interested in out of those new phones that are rumoured. We don't really know too much about the iPhone 13, but it's going to have like the Bionic 15 or 14, is it? They have 15 next, isn't it? And then they'll have some gimmicks, but I think it's all a progression this year. Last thing, I hope there's going to be a folding phone that's affordable, that has the same specs as the S21 Ultra, or the same flagship specs as all the rest, because the Z Fold 2 is ultra expensive. It's $1,400, $1,200 at best. It's got the 865 from last year. It doesn't have S Pen support, so it's going to take a few years, I think, with the folding phones. But the next Z Fold 3, I'd like to see it a bit cheaper, like $1,000, $1,200. It needs S Pen support. I mean, it's cool having a folding phone. I love the idea, but if you're paying all that money, you've got to have this. You've got to have an S Pen, because this is a $400 tablet, the S6 Lite, compared to a £1,400 device, the Z Fold 2. It'd be cool to have that. Anyway, guys, I have waffled a lot and said goodbye a lot. Thanks for joining me, as always. Hit me up in the comments, and take care. All the best. Thank you.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.